we're going to look at some different types of histograms and some qualities about them that are important for us to be mindful of, okay? Now, our histograms, maybe the most common or desired is what we call a unimodal. And if you look at the word unimodal, there's this modal piece to it, like mode. And so we're looking at high points. So what this means is uni, which means one, and this is mode. So this means that there is one high point of our graph. Another name for a unimodal graph is a symmetric histogram. Okay. And it looks something like this, where it's like staircase going up, staircase going down. Okay. In a unimodal graph, the mean value is equal to the median value. The mean value is equal to the median, meaning our average and our exact middle are equal. So that line represents the mean and the median. And here we're going to have a nice box and whisker plot where the median is kind of right there in the middle. Our quartiles are kind of right there on the ends. A very centered box and whisker plot. Okay. Our next type of graph that we're working with is called a positive skew. A positive skew, and if you know, skew means like our data gets pulled in one direction. Sometimes it's also called a right skew. Okay. And what that means is that the empty space is in the positive side of our graph, or the right side of our graph. What ends up happening in a positive skew graph is that our mean value is greater than our median. So our median is going to be somewhere over here when you're finding that exact middle. But these high numbers are going to influence our mean, or our average, when you're adding them all up and dividing. So our mean is a bigger value than our median. And our box and whisker plot is going to get pulled towards the left, or it's going to look almost kind of like how our graph looks, where we have more data on the left side, and this tail, both of these, in both our box and whisker plot and our histogram, this kind of smaller spot is called the tail. So our tail is on the right. You can imagine that this graph below, where it's going up, 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 is the opposite. So that is called a negative graph, or a negative skew, or a left. In this case, the tail is on the negative side. Okay, remember this is our tail where there's less data. And our sign is going to flip. So in this case, our mean is going to be less than our median. So our median is going to be over here somewhere when you're finding that exact middle, but our mean is going to get pulled in the opposite direction. Now, sometimes it's not a super significant difference, but it usually almost always is that the mean and the median are separated out. And so our box and whisker plot, again, is going to look like a flipped version, where more of our data is on the right. So it's uneven. Next, we have what's called a uniform histogram. And this is a situation where all of the data is at the exact same amount. This is super rare, but this is another situation where our mean is going to be equal to our median. We're going to find that exact middle, and that's going to be the point of the mean and the median. And so our box and whisker plot is going to look nice and symmetrical there. Just like it did with our symmetric histogram. So if I scroll up, our symmetric histogram goes up and then down. Uniform stays all the same height, but it has those similar qualities of the mean and the median being the same. And lastly, we have what's called here, we have an example of a bimodal graph. You may also have a multimodal, which has multiple peaks. And so those peaks are those points where you have more data. Okay, so I'm looking at these high points here, and I have 2 of them. These are 2 different examples. This one is symmetric in that the 2 high points are exactly the same. I can split it down the middle here, and it's going to look exactly the same. This is an asymmetric version because what's happening on the left and what's happening on the right are not the same. Typically, in a symmetric situation, the mean is equal to our median in our data. And our box and whisker plot is going to, again, be equaled out or symmetric. So those are our 6 main types of histograms, and we're going to talk about what situations create what kind of histogram.